This is what a Romanian communist neighborhood looks like. Endless buildings that go on and on for hundreds and hundreds of meters. They all look the same, they have the same color, they have the same shape, as you can see. And you can literally walk for 20-30 minutes in the neighborhood and only see blocks like that. Are they the worst ones I've ever seen? No. I've seen countries that they have more beaten up communist blocks. Those ones that we have here, they're not so bad. You can see that they are trying to renew from the outside. A lot of people also renew from the inside, but here is the first challenge. I was told by locals that it's very difficult to convince every single person in the building to finally start renewing the building, because it takes money for that and a lot of people don't want to pay. So you usually have some boomers, elderly citizens, who are not willing to pay an extra fee every single month to get a better looking apartment from the outside. So a lot of buildings, they have problems renewing because of that, because people simply don't see the reason why they should renew the building. I'm not so sure if that's the case or not, but as you can see, this one behind me, it's much newer. And by the way, that's the one I'm living. And this other one here, totally older. I'm not so sure if that's the case or not, of people not wanting to pay, but definitely whenever you renew the building, it's gonna look much better. I've been to other communist neighborhoods in other countries as well, such as Poland and Bulgaria, but I don't know, if you want to see a communist neighborhood, I wouldn't recommend coming here to Romania, because you don't get that post-communist aesthetic vibe here. It just feels different. I don't know, in Poland felt more natural. It's hard to explain, but the neighborhoods there, I was specifically in a neighborhood called Baluty, something like that, in Łódź, third biggest city in Poland, and half of the neighborhood was communist blocks and the other half was basically Jewish ghettos. So it doesn't look the best neighborhood in the world, I know that, but there is a certain charm on the neighborhood. There is a different thing there that, I don't know, it makes sense, even though it's not the most pleasant or beautiful place. You feel secure walking around, and people kind of make fun with that and they take it easy. And here, when you go to a communist neighborhood, the feeling that you have is that people just don't like it so much. It's kind of like, okay, this is not cute aesthetic, this is just a bad neighborhood. You just don't live in a good neighborhood. Another interesting thing is, as I said, some of those buildings look better than the others because some have been renewed and some haven't. But from the inside of the building, they all look terrible. I have here some images that I took while I was waiting for my elevator, and the elevator was terrible. It seems like it was made in the 50s. You can't choose like multiple destinations. It either goes from one to the other one and that's it. So if there are 3 people inside the elevator, you have to first finish the first trip, then the second person chooses the floor and it goes there, and then the third person chooses their floor and it goes there again. You can't just press multiple buttons. It is that old. You have to open the door manually, and there was like a stick on the door. I don't know if that's how it was made. It's just like they cut a broom in half and put a stick there so you can take it and open it. So yeah, definitely I think it was the first time in my life that I preferred to take the stairs sometimes, because you look at this elevator and you feel like it's going to fall anytime. But then when you get inside the apartments, it gets nice. Most of those apartments that you see around here, they usually look good from the inside. It's just the outside that doesn't look so good, because as I said, it's easy for you to convince yourself to renew your own apartment, but it's difficult to convince 200 people to renew the entire building. Look at this one, for example. If you compare this one behind me to this other one, you can clearly see the difference from one to the other. Another aspect here, a bit more polemic but true, you see a lot of difference looking at people here in this part of Bucharest when you go to other neighborhoods. Last year I was in a place called Sector 3 near the Arch of Triumph here, a whole different neighborhood 1 hour away from here, and you look at people, the way they dressed, the way they look, it's different. You have different ethnic groups from one neighborhood to the other, while in Poland you don't really notice that. They all seem to be Slavic. Anywhere you go, good neighborhood, bad neighborhood, but here you see a lot more of what they call gypsies neighborhoods, and a lot of people avoid living there because they are not considered the best neighborhoods. So as soon as the person makes some money, the person will probably try to live some other place. While in Poland it seemed more equal about this matter. Another interesting point here is that the culture in Romania, it's really hard to explain, and I want to talk about more about that in the next video, but they have so many different influences. So when you are in certain countries, you just feel like you are in a Slavic country, and that's it. Some countries are Latin countries, and that's it as well. But here you have a little bit of everything. So you have gypsies, you have Latino culture from their past connected to Italy, and the resemblances with the language. You also have a little bit of a Slavic influence because, you know, the communist government was very connected to Russia. And you also have in the past the Ottomans influence here. So one part to the other in Romania is completely different. When you come here to Bucharest, then if you go to Transylvania, it feels like you are in two different countries. Using Poland as an example again, there are better cities and worse cities in Poland. A lot of people give Łódź a very hard time, but when you are in Łódź, when you are in Krakow, or when you are in Warsaw, it all feels Poland. One city is more beautiful than the other. Of course, Warsaw is more beautiful than Łódź, sure, but both feel like Poland. While here in Romania, one part of the country doesn't feel like the other one. It seems like we are in a completely different place, and here in the capital and in the surroundings, you see much more of this communist influence, while in Transylvania you don't really see much of that. You get more of the Central European atmosphere. You have some blocks, but outside of the city. You're not gonna find gigantic blocks like that, neighborhoods and neighborhoods of blocks and more blocks, just like you'd see in Bucharest. So that's what doesn't make Bucharest so beautiful, because here you're gonna have some blocks, and a few miles away you're gonna see some people trying to imitate French architecture, and you're gonna have some other influences in the architecture as well. So it seems like when you're trying to play Lego and you put a lot of random pieces together, and in the end it just doesn't look so good. So maybe if the country was just like one, when you see like some countries they're just post-Soviet, while some other countries are just Latino countries, and some other countries they are Arab influenced countries, it kind of matches better. But when you try to mix everything together, I'm not talking about race or ethnicity, I'm talking about the city, the structure, communist here and Slavic there, and so many other kinds of influence. It just doesn't make too much sense to me, and sometimes it feels like a big mix, hard to understand. So as I said, this is not the place that you're going to have a post-communist aesthetic vibe experience, because that's not how they see those neighborhoods. They just see it as a bad neighborhood. And why did I choose it? Well, actually my friend chose this neighborhood to me. He lives here in the city, not in the neighborhood. I trusted him but I'm not the biggest fan of the neighborhood, and since last year I was in sector 3, I wanted to be in a different place so I could see a different reality. But that's the whole point of my trips, getting to see more realities, living just like the locals do, walking around, shopping, doing my groceries, talking to people in the gym. I don't want to travel just to be in a hotel room, going to co-working places to work with other foreigners. That's not the point to me. What is the point? I mean, going all the way from Brazil to Romania to be amongst other tourists? No. If I come all the way from Brazil to here, it's because I want to see the people from here, and that's what I'm trying to show here on my channel. I hope you liked the video, and if you do, subscribe and hit the like button.